Donald Trump has become the first president in US history to be impeached twice, after being charged with incitement of an insurrection over last week's deadly storming of Congress. The House of Representatives accused Mr. Trump of encouraging violence with his false claims of election fraud. He now faces trial in the upper chamber, the Senate, but not before he leaves office next Wednesday. Senators can vote to bar him from ever holding public office again. In a video released after the vote in the House on Wednesday, Mr. Trump called on his followers to remain peaceful without mentioning his impeachment. Violence and vandalism have no place in our country. No true supporter of mine would ever endorse political violence, he said, striking a somber and conciliatory tone. The FBI has warned of a possible armed protest planned for Washington, D.C. and all 50 U.S. state capitals in the days before Joe Biden, a Democrat who is going to be inaugurated as the new U.S. president. What has Trump been charged with? Impeachment charges are political, not criminal. The president was accused by the House of inciting the storming of the Capitol, the seat of the U.S. Congress, with a speech on the 6th of July to supporters outside the White House. He urged them to peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard, but also to fight like hell against an election that he falsely told them had been stolen. Following Mr. Trump's remarks, his supporters broke into the Capitol, forcing lawmakers to suspend certification of the election and take shelter. The building was placed on lockdown and 5 people had died in the melee. The article of impeachment stated that Mr. Trump repeatedly issued false statements asserting that the presidential election results were fraudulent and should not be accepted. It says he then repeated these claims and willfully made statements to the crowd that encouraged and foreseeably resulted in lawless action at the Capitol, leading to the violence and loss of life. President Trump gravely endangered the security of the United States and its institutions of government, threatened the integrity of the democratic system, interfered with the peaceful transition of power, and imperiled a co-equal branch of government. Last week, 139 Republicans voted against accepting the result of 2020 of the election and Mr. Trump's defeat. For 2 hours on Wednesday, members of the Democratic-controlled House made statements for and against the vote in the same chamber, where they hid under chairs and donned gas masks as rioters tried to force their way inside last week. National Guard troops kept watch inside and outside the Capitol. 10 of Mr. Trump's Republican Party joined Democrats to impeach him by 232 to 197. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat, said on the floor, "The President of the United States incited the insurrection, this armed rebellion against our common country. He must go. He is a clear and present danger to the nation that we all love." Democratic Congressman Julian Castro called Mr. Trump the most dangerous man to ever occupy the Oval Office. Most Republicans did not seek to defend Mr. Trump's rhetoric, instead arguing that the impeachment had bypassed the customary hearings and calling on Democrats to drop it for the sake of national unity. Impeaching the president in such a short time frame would be a mistake, said Kevin McCarthy, the House top Republican. That doesn't mean the president's free from fault. The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters, he said. Jim Jordan, an Ohio Republican, accused Democrats of recklessly dividing the country to pursue a political vendetta. "This is about getting the President of the United States. It's always about getting the President, no matter what. It's an obsession," he said. Among other members of the President's party who voted to impeach him was the third-ranking House Republican Liz Cheney, the Wyoming representative. The daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney said of the riot that there has never been a greater betrayal by a president. It is unclear whether he shall be convicted by the Senate.